Captain Minu was flying his patrol ship near Mars when everything changed. It was a quiet day. The stars were bright. His instruments showed nothing unusual. He was thinking about going home to Earth, about seeing his family in Seoul, about the hot food waiting for him. Then his sensors screamed. Minu looked at his screen and his blood turned cold. Thousands of red dots appeared from nowhere, then thousands more. A hole had opened in space itself, and from that hole came ships. Alien ships, more ships than Minu had ever seen in his life. He counted quickly, 10,000, no, more than 10,000. His hands moved fast. He opened his communication channel to warn Earth, but before he could speak, a bright light filled his cockpit. One of the alien ships had fired at him. Minu pulled his ship hard to the left. The shot missed him by meters. He ran. He flew as fast as his ship could go. Behind him, the alien fleet moved toward Earth like a dark cloud moving toward the sun. On the largest alien ship, High Commander stood before a massive window. He watched his fleet spread across space. His gray skin reflected the light of distant stars. His 4 eyes blinked slowly with satisfaction. "Report," he said. His voice was deep and cold. A smaller alien officer bowed low. "The human fleet is small, Commander. Only 200 ships. They have never fought a real war. Our scouts say they are weak and divided. They fight among themselves constantly." Made a sound like laughter. "Good. The Dominion has conquered 2,000 worlds. This small blue planet will fall in hours. Begin the attack. Show no mercy. We need slaves for our mines." The order went out. The alien fleet moved toward Earth. In an underground bunker beneath Seoul, Admiral Park was having lunch with his officers when the alarm started. Red lights flashed everywhere. Screens showed impossible images. Thousands of alien ships were entering Earth space. Dropped his food and ran to the command center. His officers followed him. What they saw on the main screen made them stop breathing. "How many?" asked quietly. "Over 10,000 ships, Admiral," a young officer answered. Her voice was shaking. "They are not responding to any communication. They are heading straight for Earth." His mind worked fast. Earth had 200 ships. The aliens had 10,000. The math was simple and terrible. "Send everything we have," he ordered. "Every ship, every pilot, buy time for the cities to evacuate." The human fleet launched. 200 small ships flew toward 10,000 giants. It was not a battle. It was a slaughter. The alien weapons cut through human ships like hot knives through paper. In 20 minutes, the human fleet was gone. Every ship destroyed. Every pilot dead. Then the aliens turned their weapons on Earth. The first bombs fell on Seoul. Watched on his screen as the city above him turned to fire. Buildings that had stood for centuries fell in seconds. Millions of people ran through the streets, but there was nowhere to run. His phone rang. It was his wife, calling from their apartment in Sector 7. She said, her voice was calm, but he could hear the fear underneath. "The sky is burning. Where should I take? Where should we go?" Was their daughter. She was 7 years old. She liked to draw pictures of spaceships and dream about visiting the stars. "Go to the basement," said. "Stay there. I will come for you. I promise I will come." The line went dead. The bombs had destroyed the communication towers. Stared at the silent phone in his hand. Around him, officers shouted reports. More cities were burning: New York, Tokyo, London, Paris. Everywhere the aliens were bombing. Everywhere people were dying. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 3. A young officer walked slowly toward. Her face was white. She held a paper in her shaking hands. "Admiral," she whispered, "the report from Sector 7 in Seoul, the rescue teams checked. There are no survivors, none. The entire sector is gone." Did not move. He did not speak. He just stood there looking at the screen that showed his burning city. His wife was gone. His daughter was gone. Everything he loved was ash and fire. The other officers watched him. They expected him to cry. They expected him to scream. But Admiral Park did neither. Instead, something changed in his eyes. The softness disappeared. The warmth died. What remained was cold, harder than steel, sharper than any blade. He turned to his officers. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, but every person in the room felt it in their bones. They will pay everything. Above Earth, High Commander received reports that made him smile. Human resistance had ended. Their little fleet was destroyed. Their cities were burning. The planet was ready for occupation. He sent a message to Overlord, the supreme ruler of the Dominion, who waited far away in the capital. Earth has fallen, the message said. The humans are broken. They were even weaker than we expected. Send the slave ships. We will have millions of workers for your mines within the month. Overlord read the message and felt pleased. Another world conquered. Another species enslaved. This was how the Dominion grew. This was how they had always grown. The strong took from the weak. It was the natural order of the universe. He turned his attention to other matters. Earth was finished. The humans were nothing. They did not deserve any more of his thoughts. This was the greatest mistake Overlord ever made. Deep in his bunker, Admiral Park began to plan. The alien ships filled the sky. The bombs still fell. The death count rose every minute, but was no longer thinking about defense. He was no longer thinking about survival. He was thinking about revenge. Around him, survivors gathered. Soldiers who had lost their families. Scientists who had lost their labs. Pilots who had lost their squadrons. They looked at their admiral and saw the same cold fire burning in his eyes that burned in theirs. "We cannot win today," told them. "We cannot win tomorrow, but we will win. I swear this on the ashes of our cities. I swear this on the blood of our families. The aliens think they have conquered us. They think we are finished." He looked at each face in the room. "They are wrong. They have only woken us up. And when we rise, we will teach them what humanity can do. We will make them regret the day they ever looked at our planet." Outside, the sky burned. Millions died. The alien fleet celebrated their easy victory. They did not know that they had just started a war they could not win. They did not know that the species they called weak would become the most dangerous enemy they had ever faced. They did not know that humanity had just begun to fight. 6 months had passed since the sky burned. Earth was no longer free. The Dominion had landed their soldiers, built their camps, and begun to collect humans like farmers collect animals. Warlord Solon commanded the occupation. He was tall, even for and his gray skin was covered with scars from 100 conquests. He walked through the largest slave camp in what was once called Korea. Thousands of humans stood in lines, waiting for food that was barely enough to keep them alive. Solon watched them with 4 cold eyes. On other worlds, conquered species cried. They begged. They broke completely within weeks, but these humans were different. They did not beg. They stood straight. They looked back at the soldiers with eyes full of hate. Even the children stared without fear. "This species is strange," Solon said to his officer. "They do not break." The officer nodded. "We have executed thousands for disobedience. It does not matter. More resist. They hide weapons. They attack our patrols at night. We have lost 600 soldiers this month alone." Solon made a sound of anger. "Then execute more. They will learn." But the humans did not learn. They could not learn. To learn would mean to give up, and humans had never been good at giving up. Deep beneath the mountains of Korea, General sat in a bunker that no scanner could find. The walls were thick rock. The tunnels went for kilometers in every direction. In these tunnels, thousands of resistance fighters lived and trained. Had been a soldier for 30 years. He had gray hair now and tired eyes, but his hands were steady and his mind was sharp. Every day he received reports from resistance cells around the world. America, Europe, Asia, Africa, everywhere humans hid, they fought back. Lieutenant entered his office. She was young, only 25, but she was the person had ever met. Before the invasion, she had worked breaking codes for the government. Now she broke codes. "General," she said, "I have learned something important." Looked up from his maps. "Tell me." Sat down. Her face was serious. "I have been reading their communications for months now. I have learned about their empire. They have conquered 2,000 worlds. 2,000 species have fallen to them." "We knew this already," said. "Yes, but here is what we did not know." Leaned forward. "None of those species ever fought back successfully. None. Every species they conquered either died completely or became slaves forever. They do not know how to lose. They have never lost." Was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly he smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a wolf seeing its prey. "Then we will be the first," he said. "We will teach them." Far away in a hidden laboratory beneath the ice of Antarctica, Dr. Shin worked without sleep. She had not slept properly in months. Her eyes were red. Her hands shook from too much coffee, but she could not stop. She was too close. Was a weapons scientist. Before the invasion, she had studied energy systems. Now she studied death. On her table sat pieces of technology. Her teams had stolen them in night raids on alien ships. The power cores were amazing. They contained more energy than human reactors 10 times their size. For months had tried to understand how they worked. For months she had failed. But tonight was different. Tonight she saw the answer. Her fingers flew across her computer. Numbers and diagrams filled the screen. Yes, yes, it could work. If she connected the power core to a human plasma cannon and increased the output by a factor of 100 and focused the beam through a crystal lens. She ran the simulation. The computer calculated. The result appeared. Dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but she did not notice. She was staring at the screen with wide eyes. The weapon she had designed could destroy a capital ship with one shot. One single shot. She named it the Nova Cannon. Her hands shaking, she wrote a message to Admiral Park. 3 words that would change everything. "We can fight." Admiral Park received the message in his own hidden bunker. He read it once. He read it twice. Then he began to laugh. It was not a joyful laugh. It was the laugh of a man who had been waiting in darkness and finally saw light. He called his officers together. Commander arrived first. She was a tactical genius, a woman who could look at any battlefield and see paths to victory that others could not imagine. The invasion had taken her entire family, but her mind remained sharp. Her heart remained focused on one goal. "Begin building the ships," Park ordered. "In secret, in the asteroid belt where they cannot see us. Use every resource we can steal or hide. I want 500 ships. I want them armed with Dr. Shin's new weapon. I want them ready to fly." Nodded. "They think we are broken. They patrol lazily. They do not watch the asteroid belt. We can do this." "We will do this," Park corrected her. "We have no choice." The work began. In secret shipyards hidden among the asteroids humans built. They worked in silence. They worked in cold. They worked knowing that if they discovered them, everything would end. But they did not stop. They could not stop. Behind them were the ashes of their homes and the graves of their families. Ahead was revenge. Captain Minyu flew supply missions to the hidden shipyards. He had survived the first attack. He had been the only pilot to escape the massacre. This survival felt like a curse. So many had died. Why had he lived? He found his answer in the eyes of the workers at the shipyard. They looked at him with hope. They needed pilots. They needed leaders. They needed someone to fly the ships they were building and take the fight to the enemy. Minyu volunteered for the most dangerous missions. He flew through patrols in the dark. He stole supplies from under alien noses. He gathered other surviving pilots around him and trained them in secret. He called his squadron the Black Phantoms. Each pilot painted a name on their ship. the name of a city that had burned, the name of someone they had lost. Minyu painted Seoul on his own ship in letters of fire. 6 months after the invasion, Admiral Park made a broadcast. It traveled through hidden channels to every human still fighting, still hiding, still hopping. They came to conquer, his voice said. They came expecting slaves. They found something else. They found humanity, and now we will teach them what that means. Across the world, in camps and bunkers and ruins, humans heard his words. They felt something they had not felt in months. They felt hope. The resistance grew stronger. More patrols disappeared. More weapons were stolen. More fighters joined the hidden army. Warlord Solon reported to High Commander that the occupation was becoming difficult, dismissed his concerns. These were just humans, weak, primitive humans. They would break eventually. They always did. But humans were not like other species. Humans did not break when pushed down. They pushed back harder. The more the hurt them, the stronger their hate became, the stronger their desire for revenge. In the asteroid belt the fleet grew, 100 ships, 200, 300. In Antarctica, Dr. Shin improved her Nova cannon, made it smaller, made it stronger, made it deadlier. In the tunnels beneath Korea, General trained soldiers who fought with the fury of people who had nothing left to lose. And in his bunker, Admiral Park watched and planned and waited. His eyes never warmed. His heart never softened. He thought of his wife and daughter every night. He promised their memory that he would make the aliens pay. They had won the first battle. They had conquered Earth. But they had not destroyed humanity. And humanity was getting ready to show them what a terrible mistake that was. The wolf was waking up, and it was hungry for blood. 1 year after the invasion, the hidden fleet was ready. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of his flagship. The ship was called Vengeance. It was smaller than warships but faster and deadlier. Its hull was painted black. Its weapons included 4 Nova cannons. Around the Vengeance, 500 human ships waited in the darkness of the asteroid belt. Their engines were silent. Their lights were off. They were invisible in the endless black of space. Park looked at his officers. Their faces were hard with determination. These were not the same people who had fled in terror 1 year ago. These were warriors. These were hunters. Commander approached with a data pad. Admiral, all ships report ready. Weapons charged, pilots in position. Park nodded slowly. And Lieutenant, what does intelligence say? Handed him the data pad. She intercepted a message this morning. High Commander is returning to Earth with 3,000 reinforcement ships. He believes there are still rebels hiding on the planet. He comes to finish the occupation completely. Park read the report. His eyes were cold, but inside, something burned. Was the commander who had led the first attack? Was the one who had given the order to bomb Seoul? When does he arrive? Park asked. Tomorrow, standard approach through the Mars corridor. Park turned to look at his fleet through the window. 500 ships against 3,000. The numbers were still bad, but they did not know the humans were here. They did not know about the Nova cannons. They did not know that every human pilot was ready to die. They think they come to hunt mice, Park said quietly. They will find wolves. Captain Minyu sat in the cockpit of his fighter. The name Seoul still glowed on its hull. Around him, the Black Phantom Squadron waited in their ships, 50 pilots, the best humanity had. Minyu was different now. The young man who had loved to joke and laugh was gone. War had changed him. Loss had hardened him. His wife had been in Seoul when it burned. His parents had been in. He had no one left to love. He had only enemies left to kill. His radio crackled. It was Admiral Park. All ships, this is your admiral. Tomorrow we strike. Tomorrow we show the what they woke when they attacked our world. Some of us will die, but our deaths will mean something. Our deaths will be the beginning of their end. Park paused. When he spoke again, his voice was like iron. No prisoners, no retreat, no mercy. They showed us no mercy. We will return that lesson for Earth, for our families, for humanity. Every pilot answered as one voice, for humanity. The next day, High Commander's fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Mars. 3,000 warships arranged in perfect formation stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on his screens. "Any sign of human ships?" he asked. His officer checked the sensors. "Nothing, Commander, only debris from their old fleet. The humans are beaten." Made a satisfied sound. He had received reports of rebel activity on Earth. Small attacks, missing patrols, nothing serious but annoying. He would land his soldiers and crush every rebel camp. He would execute every human who had raised a weapon against the Dominion. His fleet moved toward Earth. They passed the asteroid belt, barely glancing at it. Why would they? The asteroids were just rocks, dead and empty and useless. They were wrong. The human fleet exploded from the asteroids like ghosts rising from graves. 500 ships, engines blazing, weapons charging, racing toward the formation. Stared at his screen. For a long moment he could not understand what he was seeing. Where had these ships come from? How had they hidden? How had his scouts missed an entire fleet? "Battle stations," he screamed. "All ships, defensive formation." But the humans were already attacking. Captain Minu led the Black Phantom squadron straight at the flagship. His finger pressed the firing button. A Nova cannon blast tore through space, bright as a small sun. The blast hit a cruiser. The ship did not just break. It did not just explode. It came apart completely, turned to dust and fire in a single instant. Minu heard his pilots cheering on the radio. He did not cheer. He was already picking his next target. Across the battlefield, Nova cannons fired again and again. Each shot destroyed a ship. The aliens had never seen weapons like this. They had never fought an enemy who attacked with such fury. Admiral Park commanded the battle from the Vengeance. He watched the tactical display as called out orders. Squadrons 4 and 5 flank left. Squadron 7 protect our carriers. All Nova cannons focus fire on their capital ships. The human fleet fought like nothing they had ever seen. Human pilots flew their ships directly at enemy weapons, dodging at the last second. When their weapons ran empty, some pilots did not retreat. They aimed their ships at bridges and accelerated. They died, but they took their enemies with them. High Commander watched in horror as his fleet burned. He had 3,000 ships. The humans had only 500. But the humans fought without fear. They fought like creatures who had already accepted death and wanted only to take as many enemies with them as possible. "Fall back," ordered. "All ships fall back." His fleet tried to retreat, but the human ships were faster. They chased hunted them, destroyed them as they ran. His flagship was fast. He might escape. He ordered maximum speed toward the hyperspace point. But Minu had been waiting for this. His squadron had positioned itself between an escape. The Black Phantom spread across space like a wall. Saw the small fighters blocking his path. He saw the name on the lead ship, Sol. He did not understand what it meant. He only knew that these humans would not move. "Destroy them," commanded. His flagship fired everything at the Black Phantoms. Missiles, lasers, plasma beams. The space around Minu exploded with death. Minu's hands were steady on his controls. He danced through the fire. Left, right, up, down. Behind him his pilots followed. Some were hit. Some died, but enough survived. Minu flew directly at its bridge. He could see the alien commander through the window. 4 eyes, wide with fear. Minu pressed his firing button. The Nova cannon fired. The blast hit the flagship exactly where it stood. The front of the massive ship disappeared in white fire. Then the reactors exploded. Then everything exploded. High Commander, who had ordered the burning of Earth, who had killed billions of humans, who had laughed at their weakness, died without ever understanding what had happened. Around him, his fleet died too. Of 3,000 ships, only 200 escaped to hyperspace. The rest were wreckage floating in space. Admiral Park stood on his bridge in silence. Around him, his officers were crying. Some laughed, some hugged each other. The battle was over. Earth was free. But Park did not celebrate. He looked at the burning debris that had been the alien fleet. He thought about his wife and daughter, gone forever. He thought about the billions of humans who would never come back. Revenge felt good, but it was not enough. It would never be enough, not until the Dominion itself was ashes. He turned to Commander. Send word to Earth. Tell them they are free. Tell them to rebuild our cities. Tell them to build more ships. Looked at him with understanding. We are not done. No, Park said. His voice was cold as space itself. We are not done. They attacked our home. They killed our people. Now we will take the war to them. We will go to their worlds. We will burn their cities. We will show every species in the galaxy what happens when you attack humanity. Outside, the debris of the fleet drifted in silence. The wolf had awakened, and it was time to hunt. Earth was free. The occupation was over. But Admiral Park stood before the United Earth Council with fire in his eyes. The council chamber was deep underground, one of the few government buildings that had survived the invasion. Representatives from every nation sat in rows, their faces tired but hopeful. They had won. The alien fleet was destroyed. Earth could rebuild. But Park was not there to talk about rebuilding. We have a choice, he said to the silent room. We can stay here. We can build walls around our solar system. We can hide and hope they never return. He paused. His eyes moved across every face. Or we can accept the truth. They will come back. Their empire has 2,000 worlds. We destroyed one fleet. They will send another, and another. They will keep coming until we are dead or enslaved. A council member from Europe raised his hand. What do you suggest, Admiral? We barely survived this attack. Our fleet is small. Our resources are limited. Park stepped forward. His voice grew harder. I suggest we stop being prey. They attacked our home. They killed 3 billion of our people. They burned our cities and took our children for slaves. And now they sit in their empire, thinking about how to finish what they started. He slammed his hand on the table. We do not wait for them. We do not hide behind walls. We take the war to them. We burn their worlds as they burned ours. We show every species in the galaxy that attacking humanity is death. The room was silent. Some council members looked scared. Others looked uncertain. But many looked at Park with the same cold fire that burned in his eyes. They had all lost someone in the invasion. They all carried the same pain, the same rage. The vote took 1 hour. When it was done, humanity had made its choice. They would carry the fire to the stars. Dr. Shin had not slept in weeks, but she did not care. Her laboratory in Antarctica had become the heart of humanity's war machine. Scientists from every nation worked under her command, building weapons that would have seemed like magic before the invasion. Today, she was showing Admiral Park her greatest creation. It was a ship, but calling it a ship was like calling a hurricane a breeze. It was massive, nearly 2 kilometers long. Its hull was covered with Nova cannons. Its engines could push it faster than any vessel. We call it the Wrath class, said. This ship can destroy a planet. Park looked at the design on her screen. His face showed no emotion. How many can we build? 10, maybe 12. If we use every resource we have. Build 12, Park said, then build more. Nodded, she understood. This was not about defense anymore. This was about making sure no one ever attacked Earth again. This was about teaching the galaxy fear. In another part of the world, General was training the new army. His soldiers wore powered armor that made them stronger than 10 warriors. They carried weapons designed by Dr. Shin's team. They trained in combat styles developed specifically to kill aliens. Walked among his soldiers. They were young, most of them. Many had been children when the invasion started. They had grown up in occupation camps, watching their families work and suffer and die. Now they were warriors. "You are not soldiers," told them. "Soldiers follow rules. Soldiers take prisoners. You are hunters. You are vengeance made flesh. When we reach space, you will show them what they created when they attacked us." The soldiers cheered. Their voices echoed across the training ground like thunder. Lieutenant brought her intelligence report to Admiral Park in his office. She had been reading communications for months now, building a map of their empire, finding their weaknesses. "The Dominion is large," she said, spreading star charts across his desk. "But it is built on fear. They have conquered 2,000 species, but none of those species are loyal. They obey because they are afraid. If we hit the hard enough, fast enough, their slaves might rise up too." Park studied the maps. "Where do we strike first?" Pointed to a star system at the edge of space. "Here, 4. It is a military world. They build ships there. They train soldiers there. If we destroy it, we hurt their war machine. And we send a message." "What message?" "That we are coming for them. That nowhere is safe." Park looked at the star on the map. It was far from Earth. Months of travel through unknown space. They would be surrounded by enemies. If they lost, there would be no retreat. "We leave in 3 weeks," he said. The human fleet gathered near Mars. 1,000 ships now, twice what they had before. 12 Wrath-class dreadnoughts formed the heart of the formation. Around them flew carriers, cruisers, and hundreds of fighter squadrons. Captain Menu, now promoted to commander, stood on the bridge of his new ship. It was a heavy cruiser named Burning Sky. The name Sol was painted on its hull in letters 3 meters tall. Menu watched the fleet assemble. These ships would carry humanity's anger across the stars. They would bring death to the empire that had brought death to Earth. His thoughts were interrupted by a call from Admiral Park. "Commander, you will lead the advance force. Your squadron will be the first to enter space, the first to show them we are coming." Menu straightened. "Yes, Admiral." "One more thing," Park said, his voice softened slightly. "I know what you carry, Menu. I carry it too. Use that fire, but do not let it burn you up. We need you alive. Humanity needs you." Menu was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "I will not die until every knows the name Sol, until they understand what they took from us." Park nodded. "Then go light the way." The human fleet entered hyperspace. Behind them, Earth grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star in the darkness. Ahead was unknown space, enemy territory, 2,000 worlds waiting to learn what humanity could do. On the Vengeance, Admiral Park stood alone in his quarters. He looked at a photograph in his hand. His wife and daughter smiled at him from the image. They had taken it on a beach one summer before the invasion, was holding a seashell. His wife was laughing at something he had said. They were gone now. Nothing could bring them back, but Park could make sure their deaths meant something. He could make sure the aliens never hurt another human family. He placed the photograph carefully in his pocket, over his heart. Then he walked to the bridge and gave the order. "All ships increase speed. We have an empire to destroy." The fleet raced through hyperspace like an arrow fired from a bow. Behind them was Earth, wounded but alive. Ahead was the Dominion, vast and ancient and undefeated. It would not be undefeated for long. Humanity was coming, and they carried fire in their hands. Far away on 4, the military governor received a strange report. A scout ship at the edge of the system had disappeared. Communication lost. Cause unknown. He dismissed it as equipment failure. What else could it be? No enemy had ever reached space. No species had ever dared. He went to sleep without worry. He would not wake up. The human fleet arrived at 4 without warning. Commander Menu's advance force dropped out of hyperspace first. His cruiser, Burning Sky, led 50 ships toward the military planet. Below them, Factories stretched across continents. Shipyards floated in orbit, building the warships that had conquered 2,000 worlds. The defenders were not ready. They had never needed to be ready. No enemy had ever come here. No species had ever been brave or stupid enough to attack the Dominion in its own territory. Minu opened a channel to his squadron. No mercy, make it fast. The human ships attacked. Nova cannons fired in rapid sequence. Shipyards exploded one after another, turning into clouds of burning metal. Defense platforms died before their weapons could charge. In 15 minutes, the orbital defenses were gone. Then Admiral Park arrived with the main fleet. The Wrath-class dreadnoughts moved into position above the planet. Their planet-killer weapons powered up, glowing with terrible light. Park looked at the world below. Millions of lived there, military personnel, their families, civilians who had never held a weapon. For a moment he hesitated. Was this right? Was destroying this world any different from what they had done to Earth? Then he remembered Soul burning. He remembered his daughter's face. He remembered 3 billion humans who would never laugh or cry or dream again. They had started this war. Humanity would finish it. Fire, he said. The dreadnoughts fired. 12 beams of pure destruction struck the planet. The ground cracked. The oceans boiled. Fire spread across continents like waves across water. When it was over, 4 was dead. Smoke covered its surface. Nothing lived. The human fleet moved on. News of the attack spread through the Dominion like fire through dry grass. At first, no one believed it. How could humans attack space? How could they destroy an entire military world? It was impossible. But more reports came. Human ships were seen in system after system. They struck military bases. They destroyed supply routes. They vanished before fleets could respond. Overlord received the reports in his palace on Prime. He had ruled the Dominion for 500 years. He had conquered more worlds than he could remember. No enemy had ever worried him. Until now. How many ships do the humans have? He demanded. His advisors looked at each other nervously. We are not certain, Overlord. Our reports are confused. Some say 1,000. Some say 2,000. They attack from many directions at once. His 4 eyes narrowed. Find them, send our fleets, destroy them. But the humans were not easy to find. Commander had designed their strategy perfectly. The human fleet never stayed in one place. They attacked, destroyed, and disappeared before they could respond. It was like trying to catch smoke with bare hands. Meanwhile, something else was happening across the Dominion, something they had never expected. On a slave world called 3, millions of aliens worked in mines. They were a species conquered 300 years ago. For generations, they had obeyed their masters without hope. Then the human ships arrived. General led the ground assault personally. His powered armor made him look like a giant made of metal. Behind him, 5,000 human soldiers stormed the slave camps. The guards fought back. They died quickly. Walked through the largest camp. Around him, slaves stared with wide eyes. They had never seen anything like this. Creatures who looked almost like but different, smaller, fighting against the masters. An old elder approached. His legs were weak. His body was covered with scars from years of work, but his eyes held a spark of something long forgotten. "Who are you?" the elder asked. Removed his helmet. His human face was tired but kind. "We are humans," he said. "We come from a world called Earth. They attacked us too. They killed billions of our people. They tried to make us slaves." The elder's eyes grew wider. "You fight them. You fight the masters." "We do more than fight," said. "We destroy. We will not stop until the Dominion is ash." He turned to his soldiers. "Open the gates. Free everyone. Give them food and medicine. If any want to fight beside us, give them weapons." The gates opened. Millions of slaves walked free for the first time in their lives. Many cried. Many fell to their knees. Many looked at the human soldiers and saw something they had not felt in 300 years. Hope. Word spread faster than the human fleet could travel. From world to world, slaves whispered to each other. The humans were coming. The humans had weapons that could destroy ships. The humans freed everyone they found. They had a name for the humans now. In 100 alien languages, it translated the same way. The Burning Ones. Rebellions began. On 100 worlds, slaves rose up against their masters. They did not have proper weapons. They did not have training. Many died, but they fought anyway because the humans had shown them it was possible. Lieutenant monitored the communications from her station on the Vengeance. She reported to Admiral Park with amazement in her voice. The Empire is falling apart, Admiral. Rebellions on 73 worlds confirmed. They are pulling fleets back to deal with internal problems. They cannot fight us and their own slaves at the same time. Park allowed himself a small smile. It was the first time he had smiled in 2 years. Good, we keep pushing. We give them no time to recover. The human campaign continued. More worlds fell. More slaves were freed. More fleets were destroyed in ambushes carefully planned by Commander. Dr. Shin's weapons teams traveled with the fleet. They captured factories and turned them to human use. Within months, the human fleet had doubled in size, then tripled. Commander Minyu became a legend. His Black Phantom Squadron appeared in every major battle. The soldiers learned to fear the ships with city names on their hulls. They knew that when those ships appeared, death followed. Minyu never smiled. He never celebrated victories. He simply fought and killed and moved to the next battle. The fire inside him never stopped burning. One day, after destroying a supply fleet, one of his pilots asked him a question. "Commander, do you think we can really win? They have so many more worlds than us." Minyu was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. "Before the invasion, I wanted simple things. A home, a family, peace. They took all of that. They thought they were making us weaker. Instead, they made us dangerous." He looked at the stars outside his window. "We will win because we have nothing left to lose. We will win because every human in this fleet fights with the strength of everyone they lost. They do not understand this. They cannot understand this. That is why they will fall." The pilot nodded. He looked at his own ship where his mother's name was painted on the hull. He understood. Overlord watched his empire crumble from his throne on Prime. He had lost 200 worlds in 6 months. His fleets were scattered. His slave races were revolting. And the humans kept coming, unstoppable, merciless. He called every remaining ship to Prime. 10,000 warships gathered around the. If the humans wanted to end the Dominion, they would have to come to him. And when they came, he would crush them. He sent a message to every system that still received his broadcasts. "The humans are coming to Prime. All ships must defend the. This is our final battle. We will not lose." Admiral Park received the message on his bridge. He read it and smiled his cold, terrible smile. "He calls his fleet home," Park said. "He wants a final battle." Commander stood beside him. "It is a trap, Admiral. They will have everything waiting for us." "I know," Park said. "We will go anyway. We will end this where it began, on there, in front of their emperor." He turned to face his officers. "Send word to all allied ships, every species we have freed, every fleet that has joined us. We go to Prime. We finish this war." The human fleet began to gather. 1,000 human ships, 3,000 ships from freed species, all racing toward the heart of the empire that had tried to enslave them all. The reckoning was coming, and humanity would be the one to deliver it.